So Matt, the lawsuits continue from Trump. You know, his first term in office, it was almost a standing joke. And the joke was, how many lawsuits today? And there were hundreds of lawsuits that were brought. But he's doing the second term, right? I mean, the same thing is happening all again, right?
It's Trump's tactics. So currently what we just saw actually the other day was a suit or an allegation of defamation on part of a man named Michael Wolff, who's writing what's going to be his, I believe, fourth book now on Trump. Trump says, you know, these are anonymous sources. You can't do that. I have a libel case against you. Well, the reality is we know our standard against a public official for defamation is a very high bar. We have New York Times Sullivan, right?
Well, let's slow down on that. New York Times Sullivan is pretty clear. Mm-hmm. It goes in the idea that you can make a mistake. I mean, you can report and maybe not get it exactly right, but there has to be malice. You have to have an intent and malice to say, I'm going to harm that person. That's the standard. But that standard seems to be waning a little bit. When I see the cases right now that are being settled, not just with Trump, but other slander cases, libel cases, that standard is being softened. So Trump is really taking advantage of that. What kind of results is he getting already?
Yeah, well, he tends to push people around and drive settlements to that degree, or at least something to somewhat maybe possibly appease him, as we saw with the CBS 60 Minutes issue. And that one, you know, is the case strong? Is it really there? No. But is there an incentive to go ahead and make the man at least at peace for now? And if we actually go ahead and pull up, I mean, within this man's 10 or 30-year career, we can go ahead and pull up right here. He's filed or been a part of almost 4,000 lawsuits.
4,000. Well, okay. The point is, though, Matt, you can't ignore it. It works for him. I mean, right now he's got CBS on the hook. Yeah. CBS. I mean, we're talking about billions of dollars. Right. And if you really analyze that case, I mean, it is ugly. I mean, certainly the editor took the film of Harris. Right. And they had to chop and cut it up and make it look like she actually had a brain. Right. And so his argument is that's really kind of interfering with the election process. You're interfering with the election process, and that's a serious offense. So right now, they're trying to save face, and they're trying to say, well, let's mediate. Let's go to the table and mediate. The last president that just left, as a matter of fact, said she thought she might even sit down and talk to him about $10 billion.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Really? Yeah. I mean, it's his bread and butter. I mean, we go back to when he ran his casinos, over 1,600 lawsuits, all against creditors and following up on that. Interestingly enough, most of the contract claims were brought against him. And he had this famous idea of, you know, he would say, well, I'm a developer, but he really was a brander. And so when push came to the contract, he would turn around and say, well, we don't own liability. I'm a brander. And it's actually a theory he explained to his lawyers and really pushed down with them. So he's been doing this for 30 years, and he carries the practice forward in office. Even as president of the United States, he's
okay, so what's the latest? With the Wolff thing, people who watch this program knows who Wolff is. I mean, you hate him or you love him. He's either credible or he's not. I've always taken the position, I don't know if he's really credible. Yeah. Farron Cousins, who does the show with me, says he is. What I look at, I don't know. I kind of fall right in between because it's always anonymous sources. It's always when we say, you know, Mr. Wolff, put up or shut up. And I think that's where Trump believes he's going to win. That's what he's doing with Wolff. He's pushing him into a corner. He's saying, look, we have watched you, you know, disparage the president, disparage Donald Trump, disparage Republicans for decades now. Mm-hmm. It's time that you put up or shut up. And that's what he's going to do in a courtroom.
Well, Pat, what Wolff needs to do is sit back and bank on the policy rationale for why we have such a high standard with actual malice. He needs to say, listen, as a private citizen, we have the right to criticize our president. As long as we have a good faith basis on what we're saying, we should have an argument to go after him, and he shouldn't have a basis for suit against us. And he's really got that policy rationale to stand on. Yeah, that's the first place he should go.
It's a First Amendment that, thank God, we have a First Amendment. You look at the EU right now. God, they're just in disarray. You know, the disarray is they're arresting people, going to their houses and arresting them for criticizing somebody publicly. Right. Okay, that's what they have. Now, we have a system that says, no, what are you talking about? We have a First Amendment right to say whatever we want to say. And if it's a public official, the standard is sky high. When it's a president, it's really high. So I don't see this really going anywhere from the standpoint of there being a clear victory. for Trump, but I think Wolff needs to really be concerned about how far they're going to push him.
Right.
And what they're
Right.
going to go, what they're going to do is they're going to go back and they're going to look at the other stuff he's written. Now, this goes to the issue of malicious intent. How long has he been writing like this? What are some of the horrible things he said? What are some of the terrible things he said that we've disproved? And you're going to see that coming up in discovery.
Right.
And they're going to say, this is a pretty clear path of malice. I don't think Wolff is out of the woods on this.
You really don't?
I do not. I do not. Only because we're watching New York Times. They're taking a look and saying, we have to look at the trend, okay? We don't just look at one event. You understand?
Right.
You can say something and you can say, well, I didn't have malicious intent. Okay, great. Let's go back and look at your history. Let's put all these things together and then converge on the idea of whether this particular event involved malice.
And to that point, though, I mean, there's going to be the argument, the classic chilling effect quote, right? To what extent you now see public officials
No question about
popping
it.
these off,
No.
and the press is going to sit back and be reticent, reluctant to bring these stories forward. That's
I'm not saying this is a good idea.
Right.
Our job is to analyze.
Yeah.
And as I analyze this, when we lose the ability to be able, my God, look at what Farron and I do on this show every week.
Yeah.
We go after the people that we think have done bad things. And we say some outrageous things sometimes. But the point is, if you go back and you say, what was their malicious intent? You're not going to find it like you might with Wolff. I think when you string everything together with Wolff, you may have a different story.
You know what? He's got a couple books on him. There's a lot to parse through.
There
It
is.
sounds like they have a long-standing history, and so maybe Trump picked it. Maybe he got the right target on this issue, and Wolff's in trouble.
Well, he certainly has a good target. I'll put it like that.
He would be the first president in American history to win a defamation case.
Yeah.
So there's always that
Yeah.
issue too. So
Thanks for joining me.
absolutely, sir.
Welcome to the Ring of Fire YouTube channel. I am Farron Cousins, the host of Ring of Fire here on YouTube. I don't know if this is your first time here, or maybe you're somebody who comes here every single day, but either way, let me tell you what's going on. Ring of Fire was actually started in the year 2004 by none other than our own America's lawyer, Mike Papantonio. And over the last 20 plus years, Ring of Fire has gone from being a 1-hour weekend radio program on Air America through a series of changes. Go Left TV, which we started back in 2007. We've been on the Young Turks network. And of course, this very YouTube channel here that started, obviously, as they all do, with no subscribers. And we've now ballooned to well over 1 million as we go on our way to that 2 million mark. So again, if this is your first time here, make sure you subscribe. Take a few minutes, look around. We have content that actually goes back 20 years. So there's lots to see, there's lots to do. And trust me, with the next 4 years of Donald Trump getting back in office, we will be here every day, every single day with fresh content for you to keep you informed about what's happening and, of course, to warn you of the potential dangers that Donald Trump poses as we approach his second term.